Now it's time to move a little bit deeper into the dynamics of the dropout problem, continuing this conversation about what happens when a student stops going to school and what are the most critical years in a student's journey through the classroom, what to do to keep the student there.
Amy, Jermaine, Andrea, I'm going to speak to you about, give folks a picture of what happens when a kid's not in school. So I'll start with you, Amy.
Well, certainly they're denying themselves their full potential, but they're also denying their community and their family and society of their full potential. We can conjecture about what they may be doing, but ultimately it is that we've lost their talent and their intelligence, not only for themselves, but for the entire state and actually nationally.
But Jermaine, I'm going to come to you a little bit. But they're really there. They're somewhere. Mm-hmm. They're home, streets. Illustrate what happens when a kid is not in school between 8 and 3:30, 4:30 in the day.
You're going to find them getting into trouble. They are not somewhere where they're being challenged, supervised. So they're either at home in the neighborhoods causing some sort of disturbance or disruption. And you usually are talking about a child who really needs supervision. So I think you find kids who have interrupted education, even if they make it back into the school system, they are at a disadvantage. And so their families, we're not talking about kids who their families have totally given up on them. So they're discouraged. They may not have a community or a church that they're involved in to get them back. You really just have someone sitting around idle.
Now, you run, Andrea, you run how many schools?
3 high schools.
3 high schools.
8 schools altogether.
8 schools. Now, when we're talking about, let's say, 17% of those students are out of school, where are they? And where are they? What happens?
As she was saying, they're at home. They are wanting to do something else, but they feel discouraged by what they see at school because school may not be reaching them. Someone along the way may have left them along the way where they are not engaged. So they are at home. Some of them wanting to come back to school. Some of them don't know how. Some of them are also discouraged by the fact that they may be low in their skills and don't feel that the high schools are going to get them caught up to where they need to be in a respectful manner that still honors them. So they're disengaged, but they want to be engaged. And you also have a challenge of them getting into trouble because they want to be supported. They want to be engaged. They want to be involved, but they don't know how. And so that's where it's important for schools to begin to incorporate various programs to keep them in school, to keep them engaged, and to meet them where they are and to help them along the way.
Now, Deborah Vaughn, I'm going to get the microphone to you of the Cowan Institute. Now, we, as Andrea talked about, we want to reach them before it gets to a situation where they're out of school for long periods of time. What are some of the indicators that would predict for someone leaning towards stopping to go to school?
So in the 1990s, the Consortium of Chicago School Reform did research on public school students in Chicago, and they sort of looked at longitudinal data that identified of dropouts what were common factors, things that they all had in common, and they called them the ABCs: attendance, behavior, and course completion. And so what they've done in Chicago and other cities, they've created early warning indicators that sort